We've lost our minds, haven't we? Everybody's so offended now. We had to change the Barbie doll a couple years ago. Remember this? We had to change the shape of a doll that's been around for 50 years because some people said her breasts were too big and her buttocks was too small, so she wasn't an appropriate role model for little girls. Well, I had a doll growing up, G.I. Joe. No penis. Do you remember that? The G.I. stood for groin incomplete. As in, G, I have no penis. And then they had the nerve to call him an action figure. No penis, no action. Those are the rules. How do I know? I'm Irish. Okay, let's move on. Not that funny. I'm half Irish and half Scottish, which means I like to get shit-faced and wear a skirt. But it also means that I've never had a tan in my life. I am super hunky. This, of course, means that I can't dance. I'm hung like a grasshopper, and I get burned by the moon on cloudy nights, so... You know what pisses me off, though? There's no Irish salad dressing. Have you ever noticed that? French, Russian, Italian, no Irish. You know why? Because we just pour beer right on the lettuce. That's why. And we don't need croutons. We sprinkle Lucky Charms on top, and we have a healthy, nutritious meal that's magically delicious. And we don't care. We're just going to puke it up an hour later. We're Irish. We drink. It's what we do. I drink a lot. I used to belong to AA, but I had to quit that because I don't know if you know this, but their drinking policy is really strict. And I was asked to leave the group. I make bad decisions when I'm liquored up. I went to go see my little niece's tap dance recital after 2 six-packs, and I got thrown out of that because apparently you're not supposed to stuff the dollar bills in the leotards. But she was good. I got cut off on a plane. You ever get shut off of booze on an airplane? The stewardess or flight attendant or sky bitch, whatever they are this month, she comes over to me and she says, "Sir, you've had too much to drink. You're disrupting the other passengers." And all right, maybe I shouldn't have crammed the screaming infant into the overhead compartment. That was wrong. Mea culpa. But I'm like, lady, I have a designated driver. His name is Captain. Does that ring a bell at all? They treat us like morons on planes. They tell you how to put on a safety belt. Who the hell doesn't know how to put on a safety belt? And then they tell you that Dixie cup that hangs down from the ceiling with the tube, that's your oxygen mask. Go to hell. That's to muffle my screams when we're going down in flames. You know it, and I know it. And then they tell you you'll only need the oxygen mask if there's a change in cabin pressure. Do you know what that is? That's a gaping hole in the plane, ladies and gentlemen. And then they tell you once you put it on, just relax and breathe normally. Fuck you. There's a hole in the plane. I'm going to hyperventilate. You go get the beverage cart. Let's go. Pick it up. You know, I hate when I fly the rich people in first class. Do you hate them? Because they get to board the plane before the rest of us, right? And then we have to do our little poverty parade past them. Well, they're in their lazy boy recliners, and I'm shuffling my poor ass back to my Hyundai bucket seat and my peanuts. I was on a plane 3 weeks ago, and I was dressed to kill. I had a turban, a beard, exploding sandals, and I get in trouble when I'm liquored up. This year, I went to a Christmas tree cutting party. Have you ever been to one of these little slices of heaven? You drive up to what they call a tree farm, and you get to pick out the Christmas tree that you want, and you get to chop it down. But first, they get you liquored up on eggnog, and then they hand you an axe. What could go wrong there? And then they tell you can only chop down certain trees, only the ones that are marked with a red dot. Well, I chased this Hindu family around for about an hour, till I was asked to leave. So now I'm in my car, and I am wasted. And I know friends don't let friends drink and drive, but I don't have any friends. So I'm happy, I'm driving, it's Christmas, I got the Nutcracker on the radio, you know, Dr. Laura, and I'm driving along. And some of these are ninja jokes, you're not going to get them, we're going to move along. I'm driving along, and while I'm driving, all of a sudden my left leg falls asleep at exactly the same moment that the rest of me passes out. So now, I'm all over the road. And the cops have been following since I threw up in the basket, you know, at the toll booth. So I'm driving, and I end up hitting a dog. I didn't want to hit the dog, but he was about to sniff out the cocaine in my trunk, so I smashed into him. And the cop was already pissed off at me because of the titty twister. Now, here's a tip. Do you ever get pulled over by the police and the cop comes up to the window of your car? Never look at him and say, "Officer, I find you very attractive." And that's not just the booze talking. They hate that. So Officer Grumpy has me exit the vehicle by my hair through the sunroof, which was closed at the time. He says, "Stand on one foot, tilt your head back, close your eyes, put your arms out, and slowly touch your index finger to the tip of your nose. And don't try anything stupid." So I'm down at the police station, and while I'm down there, I end up taking a lie detector test. And they don't even see me take it. I just stuff it under my jacket when they're not looking. And then they ask me if I've seen it, and I say, "No." And my fucking jacket starts beeping. Well, that's when they started treating me like a king. Rodney King. They beat the shit out of me. They were still angry at me from an earlier incident where I peed on a tree. It was the air freshener in the cruiser. So now they put me in a thing called the holding cell, which was appropriately named because all the other guys in there wanted to hold me all night, and thank God. They let me out to make my one phone call. So I called up Suicide Prevention Hotline. And I talked to that woman for about an hour until finally she shot herself. And then I hung up and pressed redial, and I applied for a job because I figured, fuck it, they must have an opening. You know what I mean? So I spent the night in jail, and the next morning my lawyer got me off in the men's room, which was good because I was nervous. And now I'm in front of the judge, and he says, "How do you plead?" And I said, "Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs." And he says, "What are you, a comedian?" And I said, "What are you, a psychic?" And it turns out he was. Because he knew I was going to pay this huge fine in the future. I don't know how he knew that. Well, my love life sucks. Let's talk about that for a second. I just found out my ex-girlfriend needs a kidney transplant, and I'm not really worried because her body hasn't rejected an organ in 25 years, but no, that's not fair. Actually, in all fairness to her, she could probably count everyone she's ever slept with on one hand if she was holding a friggin' calculator, but I'm not bitter. I'm not. This past winter, I was fortunate enough to see her get hit by a snowplow. That was weird for me, because I had never driven a snowplow before. People ask me all the time if I miss her, and I do, because I haven't had the scope on my rifle adjusted, but I'll get her. I've been conducting a lot of surveillance of her recently, and I call it surveillance because stalking's a felony. And I found out she's now dating some French guy, some guy named Fiancé. So I think it's over. Not sure. And so am I. You've been delightful. I thank you so much. Thanks so much. It's been an honor to be here with all those guys. See you.